channel. Today we are going to be doing another series review. I'm going to be reviewing the remake of The Time Traveler's Wife that I believe showed up on HBO Plus. It has Theo James in it. I don't exactly know how I feel about Theo James as an actor. I only really know him from Divergent and from that one, what was it, Underworld movie. Um, so that's really it. I know that he's a really good singer. Um, and I did like him in the first Divergent. And then after that, I think that is more of the script they were given type of thing, like the Percy Jackson series and what they could do so much of. I'm not gonna go too much into that though. Those are kind of my own opinions. Maybe I'll just make a whole like book to movie adaptations that I wish could have been done better or finished kind of thing, but that's not today. So anyway, I felt like he was just pretty much like a mellow, kind of deep toned, kind of like manly type character person. And that's like kind of the things that he acted in. And then I saw him in Underworld, and I just assumed. And then I saw him in Underworld, and he was a vampire, and I was like, well, he does this very well, you know. And then you think Divergent is, kind of like set in the future. There's like sci-fi aspects and everything, so you're like, okay, all right. And then you notice like he also has like this aggressive kind of nature to him that also kind of plays into the characters that he plays, and I think in this series it worked very well, and maybe sometimes it was too much. But I think that was more sort of what they were doing with the character and not just him. I think after seeing this, I understand him way more as an actor. And before, again, I was just assuming and like just thinking, like, okay, maybe, Um, and now I think that even though I haven't seen a lot of what he's done, that this really showcased all the different aspects and ways that he knows how to act and used all of his different facets of acting. And I think it was great that I got to see that. That being said, I do believe that there were certain things and attributes with the character that I didn't exactly agree with, but I'm glad I got to see that acting side of him, if that makes sense. Like there was moments when Henry, like I felt like he just kind of was being snarky and mad and mean for no apparent reason, or it was just continuously. It's like, what are we doing here now? It's like it's kind of continuous and annoying at this point. But seeing Theo James being like that way, it just was like, okay, great. I know you can do that now as an actor. Like you can be that snarky and like, all right, like if that makes any sense. So that's just that. So I watched the original movie with Rachel McAdams back when I was like in I think I was in elementary going towards like going into middle school, going towards my like I think teenage years, but I wasn't quite a teenager yet. I just really love. I was a hopeless romantic growing up. I still am. But I think that was more so when I was younger. As you get older, you learn things. And life happens. But it's. I mean, I still love and romance books and everything. Uh, but I think at that age, just any kind of like romance movie, like any Nicholas Sparks, I was so down to go like see it and then read the book. Like I remember the last song came out and I read the book before that. Dear John came out. I wanted to read the book. I didn't read the book until I was much older, which probably was a mistake because I had different ideas once I was older and I read it at that time in my life, and so I didn't enjoy it as much as I think I would have back then. I really don't read a lot of Nicholas Sparks anymore. Um, just because I think it's a little too much romance for me now. I don't know. I need to be in the mood. And that's nothing against like the author. It's just kind of like that was a thing for me back then. And so The Time Traveler's Wife came out and I wanted to see it and I went to Blockbuster once it was out and I went to go rent it and I watched it with my uncle and like the first scene is the guy I forgot the actor's name and he's like naked and everything and it's just like I'm preteen me and I did not even know hadn't read the book up at that point. I think I got in the book, but I just hadn't read it. I was always like trying to read the book before it came out, but like, or I went to go see it, just to prepare myself for it and like the excitement of it, but I just didn't get to it. Um, and so I was just like, oh, my uncle was just like, and it was just kind of like we ignored it, we moved on. It's funny because I know if it was my mom, it would have been a very different experience. um, I think even I have memories of even like watching the last Twilight, and I was already a teenager. I was already like into my second to last year of high school, and my mom was still very much like that. But she's my mom. But I just find it funny that like that experience happened. It just was like, oh well, I'll just move on, you know, because I was like, if I was watching that with anybody else, that would have been a completely different experience. But it was quite funny. Uh, and it was like the first and only time like I had watched a movie like that with my uncle. I mean, the opening scene like that with my uncle, where there was a moment of nudity, um, and so then I watched it. I loved it. I remember thinking even at that age I was like there's something wrong here with the idea. Uh I was like it's kind of just awkward that she met him and fell in love with him at such an early age. And like I just felt like that could have been a little bit I don't know, like I guess like it works for the story, but and like it makes sense for the story. But especially like nowadays when you're thinking about it just like okay. But back then I was just like okay, like I and it wasn't really like a thing that like people were talking it was just like a movie that came out and it was just like okay, that's what it is and it's just like I'm like, but um, and I'm usually the type of person when it's like it's if it's a book or if it's a movie, I'm like, okay, it's a book, it's a movie, you know. But this one really kind of irked at me, but that didn't like destroy my love for the movie. It just made me very confused at that age because I was just like, this could have been done differently. I don't know how, but how? Like maybe teenage him could have came to the future. Like, this was weird. He was like, and then Twilight came out, and then Jacob and Renesmee happened, and okay, anyway, and I was all for that. But yeah, so I watched the movie. I loved it. I remember also thinking that I wanted Rachel McAdams' character of Claire to have just a little bit more substance. Like she she just was very much like glued and fixated on the idea of like this is gonna be my husband and just like I wanted her to have a little bit more quirkiness, a little bit more spark, a little bit like more freedom. Like okay, like this can't have been your whole entire life because that's a little messed up. And I like that in this new series like cuz it's not just a movie, it's like an actual series. It was actually like addressed, you know, that he told her like live your life, be with other people, like I can't just like and he actually for a long time I thought he like told her right away. A long time didn't tell her like he wanted her to be able to make her own decision. There were a little bit of moments of confusion for me where he was like the time everything is all like fixed and like you can't change anything. Everything's supposed to happen in this way and whatnot. And then he had this one moment with Claire when she was, I think, 16, and he was like, "You are allowed to make your own decisions. That those decisions, like, they haven't been like fixed yet because you are making them right now, but it's at the same time like they are fixed because they are supposed to be." Like, I don't know, it was just kind of like, I don't understand these time travel concepts. um and so basically we get to learn more about Henry and his past and his mother and his dad's relationship, which I thought was really cute. We get to learn a little bit more about Claire's past. I still don't know what was going on with her mother. Her brother is a complete just annoying, and her sister is just so sweet, so bubbly. Not what I was expecting. We saw a moment of her little, and then like we heard her like in like the background of like when they were like her and Henry were hanging out, and like I was just like, okay, like, and there was just nothing more than that. And then like when she was older, it was just like, oh, you brought him into the house, and I'm like, he's been, I thought he never was there. You said, okay, all right. So there's just like moments in time when it's just like a little bit confusing. I feel like in the last couple of episodes they added more moments in time, especially when he was like an older man. It's like she never talked about him being that old of a man. She said there were like three of him that came to visit her, and I don't remember that being one of them. Um, and so like there were just moments where I'm just like, there's inconsistencies here, but okay. When the two Henrys got to like talk to one another, that was very interesting because that's something that didn't really happen in the first one. Like they just didn't interact like at all, and then like Henry also like being like more open with the fact that he time travels with like the current girlfriend that he was with, and I'm just like, how did that happen? Like, when did you tell, like, did she just find out? Like, and then like he tells like people who are gonna be soon his friends, and then there was like the drug dealer that I knew, and it was just like, oh, okay, sure, all right, we'll go with that. um and when his dad found out he was a time traveler, that was a moment that I need more I mean, we'll leave that as is. Like, I understand, but I still don't understand. But okay, but why? Teenage, okay. Um, and I think like the fact that it was only 2 years until Claire met like Henry, like met him, I guess, like in current time, like I think like she didn't have enough time to like experiment and explore and everything. And we find out in this one scene that she's like also into women, so okay, go Claire. And the fact that like her best friend, her guy best friend, who's also with her girl best friend, and they both kind of have a thing for her, and they both slept with her. It's like, and then in the future they know, and it's like, but then Gomez, the guy, like he, her guy best friend, like he like is very open about the fact that he's in love with Claire, but like he's not with her, and then like he's best friends with Henry in the future and everything. They stick up. It's just a weird dynamic all around and everything. And then apparently the girlfriend, I don't even know if they're still together. He kind of acts weird about it in the future, but it's like they're also friends. Like I don't know. And then like that one moment, like it's like, why would you tell someone so much about the future? Like there's moments where he's like, no, you can't know it, and it's like, all right, this is what it is. And when like Ingrid learns that she's gonna die, when Henry's dad learns that eventually, like at this age, that he sees his son, because his son is like 40 something. No, he was like 30 something, and his dad apparently had already passed away. Like, why would you tell these people these things? I don't know, but they're like, they also know because it's like the way you look at me, and it's like you look at me. It's like, okay, messing with. Okay, but apparently we don't mess with the fabric of time here. It's just, it is what it is. Him showing up naked to places, that was in the first one and everything. I kind of expected them to like get pregnant with a child, but like I think that's gonna happen later on down the road, obviously, because that's kind of where we left off. Um, and like that was such like a big component of like the movie and everything, and so like I'm wondering, but then like the thing with this series is just kind of like they're planning to like do it with him from the past so that way she can, but it's like how and then she has so many miscarriages and I'm just like this cannot be healthy, like oh my goodness. And then like there's just so much toxicity I feel in this relationship, that the way they're displaying it in this series, like I'm just like oh my god, like no, this is not gonna work. You're just so fixated, like just I don't know, I wouldn't be with him, like he just is not a good guy. And then him as a good guy is like just the future, like it's gonna happen but you don't know when. And it's just like she is so in love with the idea, and not even the idea, like the physical older version of him. And it's just like but she has to get together with the younger version and turn him into that must be like messing with someone's mind. I'm sorry, that is like hardcore, like mentally abusive stuff. Like come on, like oh my god, like that is like the deepest anxiety you can give someone. um and so like there's this one scene at the end where she tells like the younger Henry, when he was all like whatever and mean and rude, and she's like I miss you like this. And then the younger her likes the older him, and it's just like it's so weird. And so like she in the beginning, not even the beginning, throughout the whole like series, she is so fixated on older him and wants this young one to be him. And it just like it's so exhausting. I'm like then don't be with him. But then realize if you're not with him, he's not going to become that. But then again, that is your choice, you know? Like you can be with somebody else who can make you happy, but then it's also not your choice because of this whole time thing that you can't change. And I'm just like this is all messed up. Like he's just this guy. And then that one scene where he's like I can be someone else for you. It's like that there's something wrong here. Like you can't like oh. And then that scene where like the younger Henry like finds out that the older Henry got the vasectomy, and he just like the older Henry is just kind of like snarky and like rude again, and just like okay that's still clearly you, but it's like that's not supposed to be you anymore. So this is kind of messed up. And it's just like he seemed really mean in that, like I don't know, I'm just like I feel for Claire. And I'm just like I don't think you like and then that whole scene where he's like explaining like mansplaining to her, like that was interesting. But like also like he's like explaining that like he's grooming her and what that is. And it's just like yes sir, yes, if you know then you shouldn't have but you know it's gonna go this way because the fabric of time, and there's no fabric of time. And I hate this. But yeah, I don't know. And then like the way his mom died, and just like oh so many messed up things. And oh my god. um and just Claire, I like how she's sassy. She has more of a like spunk and an attitude, which I really wanted in the first one. But this one is more sort of like she's also her own worst enemy, and I feel like there's a lot of growth that needs to come for her from her. I would have liked a more mature Claire, you know, to have found to have been in this like series, that way it's obvious that that's why she likes the more mature guy and is attracted to him. But then it also makes sense that like she still has room to grow because he coming in her life at this point, like she needs to figure it out. But it's just all so complicated. Like I feel like she semi had her life together, but then was also like pining for him, and it just was like she dropped everything. I haven't seen her like paint or like nothing about like she was in art school, and she still is apparently. But in the beginning we saw her like at art school, and she was like looking into something like we don't see anymore that. We just see her with Henry, and it's kind of just like annoying. And then seeing her like all gawky but with the older Henry while the younger Henry is there, and it's just like totally messed up and kind of creepy and everything, and this whole like, but you're my husband, I can do this with you, but you're not my husband. And it just like, oh, this is so messed up, but then it makes sense, but then it's all so messed up, and there needs to be rules, and like, no, don't, you're telling yourself, no, don't sleep with her, and then you end like, you have no self-control, like, you really don't. Like, she's 18 and you are 4. Like, it doesn't matter, she's your future wife. Like, this is wrong, this is wrong. No. I mean, I get hormones and stuff, but no. Oh my god. I just have all sorts of feelings, and then the way like it ends, and she's just kind of like, well, you can come visit me, and it just is like, ew, no, why? But then that's what happens in the movie she sleeps with. But it's like he's closer to like the like that. It made more sense in the movie. This is just like vindictive and wrong, and there's just something about it. I don't know. Um, and just I don't know. There's just so many different feelings, and him getting sick before like or sorry after he time travels, that kind of stops like in the last episode because he's like time traveling at night because he's like nervous, and then he got high and he took that one pill, and it just was like then he was all over the place, and then it wasn't him, and then he stayed in the past and everything. And then there was that one scene where I think he saw his daughter, I'm not sure, but and then like with his feet cut off, obviously he's gonna lose his feet. Like I think he loses the ability to walk. Like this, the series, it's I think a lot more like brutal, like and cringy, in like that like they really go there with things. In the original movie, it's like I think he just like and damages his spine or something, or like he's because he's in a wheelchair, he stops like running, and like but he still has his legs. Like this one, like it's his actual feet. And then there's this one scene again with him being older and he doesn't wear the shoes, and it's kind of like he's hiding. It's like, how did you get your feet? I think it was frostbite, I'm not sure. And this happened like in the very first episode where he found his feet, and apparently parts of him still time travel, so there's like his feet just showing up in random places. Like I don't know. um but those are my thoughts. I'm excited to see if there's more. I did love it, funny enough, just because I feel like things were fleshed out a little bit more, and things were added that were a little bit more exciting. And I feel like okay, if it's a series, we have more room to grow, we have more potential. But in it just being, in just looking at the series itself, season one, if it doesn't branch off or whatever, or it gets canceled or whatever, I think that I would have wanted more. Um, but I think it was a good first start. But I'm happy that, if it does keep going, that we have room to figure things out. Would I have liked more? Yes. Do I still love the first one more? Yes. Do I like it like as a series and like yes. I don't know if any of that made sense. When I'm just looking at the smaller components, I'm like, why? But then looking at it and the potential, I think, is what's making me excited. And then looking at it as a whole, I appreciated what they did, and it did keep me entertained. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that. So, yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all real soon. Bye!